I don't know about you, but I really don't like having my plans disrupted. I like to plan every minute of every day and every day of every week. And because by nature I'm a catastrophist, when the slightest thing goes wrong, I begin banding about phrases like, it's a disaster, or the day's been ruined, or it's all been a complete waste of time. For all of us, the pandemic has obviously been a time of disruptive plans. No social get-togethers, no sports events, no holidays. And many of us thought that by now things would be getting back to normal, but they're not. It's still really difficult to plan ahead. I'm struggling to find any races to enter. People are wondering, should they book that holiday to Spain? And all of us are thinking, is there going to be a second wave? It's all so frustrating. When I was complaining recently about a plan not working out, a friend challenged me to look at the life of the Apostle Paul and to see how he reacted when his plans were disrupted. As I thought about Paul and I looked through the book of Acts and his letters, I couldn't find any sign of frustration, not even a for goodness sake, and definitely not a this has been a complete waste of time. Yet Paul had more reason than most of us to be frustrated. His plans were constantly disrupted. The risen Jesus had met with Paul on the road to Damascus. Paul was converted and assigned the task of taking the good news of the gospel to the Gentiles. You can imagine Paul having thoughts of speaking to big crowds just like Peter had done, a sell-out tour of the largest amphitheatres and huge numbers of converts. And to start with, things did go to plan. Paul began travelling about, preaching the good news, and many were converted. But then things began to go rather downhill. In some of the places they visited, the people rioted, and Paul and his companions often had to flee, sometimes at night, and once lowered in a basket over a wall. Paul was severely flogged, arrested, passed from pillar to post while the Roman authorities decided what to do with him. Even getting to Rome for trial didn't go smoothly, as he was shipwrecked on the way. But when we think about Paul's writings, we can see his attitude towards life. He talks about being joyful always, being thankful in all circumstances, that suffering produces perseverance. And in one translation of Philippians 4 verse 11, Paul says, I have learnt to be happy whatever things may happen to me. It's very clear too that Paul was always ready to be flexible. He continued to fulfil his mission, telling the gospel in whatever situation he found himself in. Eventually, Paul ended up under house arrest, and you might think that then he really thought his chances of evangelism were completely gone. But instead, in what is part of an amazing passage in Philippians 1, he says, Now I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel. Paul realised that his circumstances weren't as important as what he did with them. Paul was able to react like that because ultimately he trusted that God was in control and that his purposes could still be accomplished. So I'm going to try and be more like Paul, to be flexible, to have a plan B, and to be thankful however things turn out, and to always look for ways to demonstrate my faith. I pray that Paul's example helps you too.